15 Minutes in Technology webinar. Today we have Steve Riot, of course, our host, and Darren Walters, who is going to explain how he went mobile with his techs here at Nex-Tech. With that, I'll take it away to Steve and Darren.
All right, thank you, Tricia. And first thing I wanted to get started with this morning is a little bit of explanation from Darren of, just a little bit about Darren and what he's responsible for here at Nex-Tech.
My name is Darren Walters. I supervise the communications department here at Nex-Tech. I currently have 9 technicians located pretty much all over the state of Kansas. On a typical day, they'll check into the office about 7:15, 7:30 in preparation for our 7:45 conference call. Then usually after that, they won't be back into the office till the next morning. So really finding a way to keep connected with those guys is very important.
All right. So Darren, this was kind of your initiative to kind of make this more mobile. What was the driving factors from you that were wanting to take you to this place?
Well, like I say, we were looking for a way to kind of enhance our communication information sharing throughout the course of the day. Similar to us is a lot of other industries, whether it's service technicians or electricians, any kind of industry where you've got people out in the field mobile. An easy way to share information, get information is really important throughout the course of the day rather than just cell phone calls. We were really looking for a way to enhance that. The biggest reasons that we were looking for a mobile platform, number one, first and foremost, is just wear and tear of laptops in the field. Our technicians have to unpack and pack their laptops, hook up to systems, and it's kind of a clunky way to do things. We were really looking at getting away from that. The biggest thing is to save time. When you look at unpacking laptops and connecting, disconnecting, upon arriving and leaving at a customer site, a lot of time adds up. And I've got 9 technicians, and if it takes them, 5 minutes each, 3 times a day to pack and unpack their stuff on a customer site, you add that up, and it's basically 45 work hours per month. And over the course of the year, you're looking at a lot of time and a lot of money. Now, I thought to myself, if there were some quick and easy things that we could do to reduce that amount of time, then that would increase our productivity and hopefully, in the end, our profitability.
Gotcha. So put some things together there is kind of the why, which you kind of very nicely put up in a package. But, also, your guys work on a lot of different products and, cover a lot of different geography that maybe one of your technicians has experience in one particular product that another might be on the other side of the state might need now. Was that part of this, sharing notes, sharing some of that technical information?
It absolutely was, and it wasn't a standpoint of, them just specifically sharing information back and forth with me, their supervisor. It was really a way to connect with each other. Obviously it's easy to text and to make phone calls, but, that takes a lot of time, and we looked at a way to get information on a little bit more expanded scale, whereas we can do maybe video applications. If I've got a tech that's not familiar with the system and he's in extreme southwest Kansas, I can have him, pin up a video call to one of my other technicians who can sit there and walk him through what he's looking at, what he's seeing, things to try. If we've got a wiring situation or some kind of a network situation, we've got a little bit of collaboration, which is kind of the next best thing to being there without actually being on site. So that has helped us out a lot, saved us some truck rolls, and really kind of enhanced our customer experience in situations where we maybe didn't have the most knowledge on site at the time.
And I know that, I'm the sales guy on this particular side, so, it's nice for us to be able to take some pictures of, say, this is what I'm looking at, what in the world is this?
Sure.
Here you go. What do I need here? What's the right, is there additional information that you or your team needs? That helps from that standpoint. So when you began early on here, you had to make some choices of products to use. I know that, before you kind of got into the Windows world, you had an iPad. So tell us about that decision-making between iPads, tablets. What did you end up on, and how did you get there?
Well, our first generation of this, we kind of field tested, and we did a lot of work with the Apple iPads. Obviously, the bulk of our technicians have iPhones, so we've got some capabilities just built within those 2 platforms. With the iPads, we had a good mechanism to put together walkthrough information, to take pictures, to save and categorize some of that through Evernote. And that worked really well. It also worked really well within our communications environment, which we use a Vias communicator product where we have instant messaging, we have videos, we have phone calls that we can make between those two devices as well, not to mention conferencing. So if we get an issue out in the field, I might have a guy with an iPad, a couple guys with an iPhone, and me, and we can jump on and video chat, see what's going on, assemble walkthrough information, and use that platform.
So really you've become kind of device agnostic. You don't really care what the end device is because most of this stuff works across platforms.
No, in fact, we currently are even using a variety. You know, we're using some, obviously some cell phone technology with mobility apps, iPads, and also some Surface tablets. So we definitely use a combination of things, even PCs and laptops that we still somewhat use. We've managed to kind of mix it all in and take the best of everything.
I really like the thought of that because then you don't get pinned down to one piece of technology, and if one leaps the other, then you can kind of move that way. That works out pretty nice. So what have been the challenges so far? You know, obviously this probably didn't go as quickly as you'd hoped, and you're even still working on some of this deployment today. If you're going to say what's the number one challenge, what's it been?
The number one challenge, you know, the biggest thing is clearly showing the benefits and the time savings to your technical staff or to your support staff in the field. You know, really devising a methodology to show that it's not just something that's going to be a tool to help me or to help internal staff, but it's to help them. And I think once they've locked onto the fact that, hey, this is going to save me time, I might be able to use this to get me out of a technical bind out in the field, then you get that kind of buy-in. It was really interesting. I talked to kind of one of my counterparts who manages the service team for an electrical cooperative, and they had recently rolled out their mobility applications with their linemen and service technicians. You know, he had some of the same challenges that we did in, you know, especially with the generation gap between older technicians and the younger technicians. Clearly the younger guys took to it. Some of the old school guys, the linemen, they weren't quite as quick to latch onto it. But I think once they found out that, you know, they could get their information out in the field, they could save time and pull up maps easier, get more information on service affecting outages, they locked onto it. It's a huge help. But clearly showing the benefit is the biggest one, and get the buy-in. Obviously, you know, if you don't use the tool, it's not very effective. The other thing that we found out to be a challenge was just the input of quality information. You know, with anything in the technology world, the data that you get out is only as good as you put in. So making sure that we had accurate, consistent information that we were sharing, whether it be on walkthroughs, site visits, those types of things, was another critical thing. Number three, you would think with managing a technical staff, that technical people have a tendency to be, you know, always geeky on technology and always want the latest and greatest, but it's not always that way. You know, sometimes you get technicians that are locked into their methodologies of troubleshooting, their methodologies of sharing information with other technicians, and you'd be surprised how many technical guys aren't really geeky on changing their methodologies and implementing new tools. So that was a little bit of a challenge as well.
I got you. So have you seen the benefits? I mean, have they come through? I mean, obviously the communication is pretty instantaneous, but has the, you know, and I guess I would define success as your ability to really serve the customers faster and more efficiently. Have those benefits, have you seen those?
We have, and the biggest thing that we've gotten back is time. You know, for me to go out and perform a site survey or to send a technician that has a certain discipline out to a certain situation to look at something, it costs a truck roll, it costs labor time and lost productivity. If I can see the site or see the world through the technician's eyes based on this technology, we've been able to do walkthroughs on the fly with a technician that's maybe not as qualified in that certain discipline, and I've been able to get that information in a consistent manner and be able to put together quotes and turn those around for our customers much faster than we used to.
So I know, you know, I've been trying to go mobile for years, and one of the things that still gets to me is I feel like I'm still tied to the office a little bit, whether it be getting my physical mail to people that just have to see me face-to-face, even though it could be a phone call, it could be a video chat, it could be any one of those things. Are you seeing some of that, and how are you working to overcome that?
We are still tied. I mean, clearly in our line of business, we've gotten tools to communicate on really a lot of other realms in our business. We still haven't got it quite tied to our ticketing system yet. Currently, if we create a service ticket, we'll have an email sent immediately to the technician. It notifies him of the ticket, gives him some information, but we don't quite have the ability to have him complete the input on the site and close that out remotely. But we're working on that, and I think that's going to be a key going forward. The other thing is clearly with our business, it's time entry, payroll, and just the normal employee management things. We don't have quite those things out in the mobile environment yet, even though they can VPN back from their PC and enter time and those types of things. So outside of picking up parts and checking in and doing some paperwork, we're still tied a little bit, but I think as time goes on, we'll cut those ties.
So you talked about some of your technicians that were a little tied to the older technology. Did you have to do a training program to get them up to speed on the devices, or did you just find that they took them home, they played with them, they figured it out? How did that whole process work?
We did both. When we rolled the first generation of this out, we had given a couple of the technicians and myself the first kind of generation of iPads that we tried, and loaded everything up, and I think really started kind of playing with it a little bit to see what it could do, kicking the tires. And then we kind of developed, okay, what do we want to get out of this? What do we want to try and use? What do we want to try and be consistent with? So we kind of launched the play-as-you-go type of thing with a couple of the applications that we've done in terms of on the Avaya communicator line. We've really had to set some guidelines and say, okay, when we do these walkthroughs, when we do a video chat, when we do some of these things, let's be consistent, and this is what we want to do with it, and this is when we want to do it. So we've done a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. So if you were going to take a back step to starting this over, I mean, you talked about a couple of revisions, you talked about a couple, I don't know, beta releases, we'll call that. What would the advice, if you were going to go back in time to Darren Walters a year ago, what would you tell him and say, hey, don't do this step or go further this way?
I think what we would do is, if we had it to do over again, and what I would tell anybody who's looking to become mobile with their work staff, is really to find out where the savings can be. Find out where the math is and how much money is really in play in terms of cost savings. The second thing I would recommend is to find applications that are actually going to be of benefit and that are quick and easy to use. If it's too cumbersome to fill out some information, take some pictures, make some notes, and send that back, then it's probably not going to work. So I think making things easy, keeping things simple and consistent is a great foundation to grow as opposed to saying, okay, I want to roll this complex piece out and we're just going to do it from the jump. So,
gotcha. And so you've got everything in place, you got the devices, you have everybody kind of using the tools. What's the next step?
I think the next step is really to keep perfecting on what we've been doing, making sure that the information that we're sharing, whether it's on walkthroughs or how we're communicating between each other, is consistent, and that we keep our foot on the gas. We keep using it. We keep seeing the benefits of it. That we really don't let up, and obviously sharing the benefits with them in terms of what we're saving and the time that we're saving is going to lock them in, and I think we'll be ready to take the next step.
Now I'm guessing, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing there's one guy out there, maybe a couple, that are I don't use technology, I'm the rebel, I'm a pencil and paper guy. How are you dealing with those type of issues?
Really just constant attention and encouragement. We've got some people that are iOS people. We've got some people that are not. We've got some Windows guys. We've got a couple technicians that really aren't big on Apple iOS, so we've kind of had to bring them over on a few things. Really just being consistent and not letting up and showing the benefit.
And then the last piece of this, that somebody that was maybe just looking to get started, is at some point in time you had to sell this to executive management. There's some investments here that had to be made in devices and data plans and things like this. Did you have a formal way of taking it to them, or was it strictly the cost savings in hours? How did you take that to that team to get this justified?
We did both. When we originally put together our budget for the devices and put our ideas forward, we had to not only come up with the devices that we wanted, come up with the applications that we were going to use, the benefits, but we really put the math forward and displayed the cost savings and what we were going to get on a return. So we kind of had to attack it from all angles, not only from a budget standpoint, but from an operations standpoint as well.
Gotcha. All right. One piece of advice for somebody looking to do this, what would it be?
Don't be afraid to try it. Don't be afraid to step in and get your feet wet. Again, going back to some of the math, if you can implement something that costs a few $100s and end up saving $1,000 over the course of the year, it's going to be well worth it. And you're never really going to know what's going to work for your staff and what kind of applications are going to be best until you just get in and start going.
And I might add to that, just in watching some of this and working with some of our other customers, we have a lot of these devices in the office that we can give out to customers to demo, to play with, to try the applications and different things. Please come in and talk to us and say, hey, I want to try out one of these Surfaces, or I want to try out one of these iOS devices, or I want to take a look and see how it works in the field. Feel free to talk to us about doing that, and then they can talk to you about maybe some of those applications that you're using in the background and how this whole thing ties together.
Yeah, and if you've got a mobile workforce, we'd be more than happy to talk to you, come in and show you what we're doing, demo some of our technology, maybe find out a little bit about how it best fit your operation, and we'd love to talk to you.
All right. So Darren, I'll put your contact information up here for everybody to get a hold of you, and of course I always put mine out there, but feel free to give you an email or drop you a phone call, and you'd be glad to talk to anybody about this, right?
Sounds good. Yeah, we'd be looking forward to hearing from you.
All right, and with that, Tricia, I think I'm going to see if you have any questions for us today.
I forgot to mention at the beginning that we will be taking questions, so if anybody has anything they would like to ask, go ahead and put that in the questions pane. In the meantime, I'll let you know that our next webinar will be Tech Talk, which is going to be a hardware update, and we're having Intel here. That's going to be on November the 19th, and then November the 20th, the very next day, Mark, St. Peter, and Steve are going to reveal their Christmas Geek Gifts 2014, which has always been a very popular webinar, and let you know in time for Christmas still, so you guys can go out and buy those for the geek in your life. Also wanted to mention that every webinar that we're recording now, we're putting on Nex-Tech TV, Channel 1, and you can also watch it for free on the VOD, Video on Demand series with Nex-Tech TV. And of course, we'll continue to have these archived on our website at nextech.com/free webinar.
Now, Darren, will you make sure my wife pays attention to the Christmas gift list?
I will, and I'll be on there too.
Okay.
Very well. I don't have any questions, so thank you both for joining us and everyone on the phone, and we'll stop it today. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.